Once upon a time, there was a duck. And one day, the duck was waddling down the road when he saw something in a hedge. And when he got it out, he could see that it was a sack. And the sack was embroidered with silver and gold, and something about that sack felt magical to that duck. And when he opened it up, he had a wish inside his head. And when he opened it, the bag was filled with gold. "I'm rich!" cried the duck. He took the magic sack and the gold home. People spoke about that duck and his magical sack. And one day the king, who had wasted all his money on fighting silly wars, decided to go and visit him. "Duck, I've come to make you a deal. How about you give me all your gold, and in 1 year I'll come back and I'll give you double." "All right," thought the duck. And so he gave all his gold to the king, and the duck waited. He waited for 1 year and a day. But did that king come back? No, he did not. And one day the duck pulled himself up tall, which wasn't very tall, and called out in his loudest voice, "Quack, quack, quack! I want my money back!" And he set off on a quest to get his money back. And he headed off down the road, waddle flap, waddle flap, waddle flap, until he came to a house. Now against this house there was a ladder, and the strange thing was, it was the ladder that called out. The ladder said, "Duck, where are you going?" "I'm going to see the king because quack, 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 I want my money back." "That sounds great," said the ladder. "Can I come too?" Well, you can't have too many friends, thought the duck. So he got his magic sack and he opened it up and he said these magic words. "Quack, quack, quack, ladder in the sack." The ladder went in the sack. The duck put the sack over his back and he carried on, waddling down the road. He came to a river. And on this river there were swans and there were moorhens. But the strange thing was, it was the river that called out. "Duck, where are you going?" "I'm going to see the king because quack, 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 I want my money back." Said the river. "Can I come too?" You can't have too many friends, thought the duck. So he opened up his sack and he said, "Quack, quack, quack, river in the sack." The river went in the sack. He put the sack over his back and onwards he went. Soon the duck had come to a forest, and in the forest he heard bzzz. It was the bees. The bees said, "Duck, where are you going?" "I'm going to see the king because quack, 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 I want my money back." "Oh, can we come too?" said the bees. You can't have too many friends, thought the duck. So he opened up his sack. Quack, 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 bees in the sack. Bzzz, the bees went in the sack. He put the sack over his back and he carried on. With a waddle and a flap, that duck soon arrived at the king's palace, with its tall turrets and its long battlements, and there at the gate there was a guard. "What do you want?" "I'm here to see the king because quack, 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 I want my money back." That guard grabbed the duck by the throat, picked the duck up and carried him all the way to see the king. "Your Majesty, this duck, he wants his money back." The king was furious. "I want you to take that duck and throw him into the deepest, darkest pit. I never want to see him again." And so the guard took the duck out into the garden to a pit, a deep, dark pit, an old mine shaft maybe, and he threw the duck down. Down, 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 down went the duck. And at the bottom of the pit, it was cold, cold, cold. cold. And the duck was scared, scared, scared. But then he remembered, in his bag, he had some friends. I wonder who he asked first. He got his sack and he opened it up and said these magic words. Quack, quack, quack. Ladder out of sack. The ladder came out of the sack. The duck, he climbed up the ladder. And when he got out, he looked to the palace. He decided which room was the king's. And he climbed up the drain pipe. He opened up the window. And there he saw the king asleep in bed. And so the duck tiptoed all the way up to the king's bed. He put his beak right into the king's ear. And in his loudest, loudest quack he went. Are you ready? Quack, quack, quack! I want my money back! The king woke up and he was furious and he grabbed the duck himself by his throat and he carried him down to the kitchen. He got up the chef and said, Chef, I want you to cook this duck, this scrawny thing in a pot, and in the morning we'll eat him for our breakfast. And so the chef got a pot and put the duck in with water and some salt and some pepper and a bay leaf. Inside the pot, it was hot, 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 and the poor duck was being cooked alive. But then he remembered in his sack he had someone he could help him. Quack, quack, quack! River out of sack! And when the river burst from that sack, it put out the fire, and the duck came riding out on a wave. And now that duck, he was beside himself with rage, and he stormed back to the king's bedroom. Only now the king was having his morning shower. The duck waited. He waited until the king stepped out of that shower, wearing only his birthday suit. And he opened up his sack and he said, Quack, quack, quack! Bees out of sack. Bzzz. Well, those bees knew the story. They knew how mean that king had been, and they stung him first on the elbow. Ouch! Then on the ear. Ouch! Bzzz. And on the bottom. Ouch! Said the king. And those bees chased the king up the hill and down the hill, through the forest, down by the old river, and out through the village. And that king was never seen again. But just then, Duck noticed something glistening under the bed. And when he pulled it out, do you know what it was? His gold. Quack, 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 said the duck. I got my money back. And everyone thought that he was such a clever duck. They made the duck